Hey everybody, welcome back to Pretending with Dice. We've made it to 100 episodes. Yay! As you can all hear, I'm joined in this intro again today by Dragon, Mark and Eden. How's everybody doing?
Good, thanks.
Absolutely spiffing.
Yep, not bad at all.
It's not a word you hear very often, is it?
You're bringing it back?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't even know what to say. We've made it to 100. I didn't know that we'd go this. I don't know. Did I know we would go this long when we started? I think it was just. I don't think I really planned that far ahead.
You had a dream and you carried on with it.
Yeah, I had
and
nothing.
Here you are, 100 episodes later, still dealing with the same idiots you've always dealt with.
Yeah, fun ride.
Yeah.
I think above all else, I just want to congratulate you because, like, the effort of 100 episodes, we're here all these years later. I've been there since day one, literally, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, before that, actually, because I think the sort of start was way back in the day. Nathan and I joined you for an episode of your previous podcast where we did a D&D character creator thing.
Yeah.
Way back in the day.
Yeah, we did, didn't we? God, I'd forgotten all about that.
Yeah, I definitely don't have the file for that somewhere.
Who knows? But yeah, through all this time, here we are, having done so many different types of role-playing and different groups, and yeah, people coming and going, and yeah, good times throughout.
I don't really know where the time's gone, to be honest, because like we're actually at this point approaching a year since Frontier started going live, so...
Into the editing, as you always say, AJ.
Yeah. Disappears into thin air because the editing is all of my life. But
But the thing is, out of that thin air, you get these brilliant runs of D&D action in so many different universes. I mean, I've been here for 3 of them so far: Star Wars, Call of Cthulhu, and now Star Trek. And it's been the end product afterwards has always been excellent to listen to. Keeps you hooked, but doing the recordings have always been brilliant as well. Just like-minded people having a laugh, having fun, and yeah, long may it continue, man. You've done brilliantly.
Oh, thank you. I felt like there was something I was going to say there, but my brain is just...
You're already thinking about fixing it in post, aren't you?
He'll be fixing this intro in post. Yeah.
Or he'll be thinking about Ferengi sweat lodges on
Oh god, we're not having a Frontier recording.
Even if it doesn't get into the Frontier recording, it gets into a 100th episode intro.
There it is. Yeah, I'm going to have to leave it in now, just so everybody knows what I have to put up with every time. Yeah.
It was your biggest mistake inviting me onto these, wasn't it?
We need to come up with some more running jokes, just to distract you away from the sweat lodge thing.
Well, it could be a fun game for people to try and play, to try and figure out where in the episode.
Yeah.
Every single episode.
Yeah.
There's at least one moment where it was referenced. It's just not there anymore.
If you can find it, you win respect.
Yeah.
That's the meta game for Frontier is, where was the sweat lodge reference? But yeah, I mean, speaking of episode 100 then, so this is our, again, I won't spoil what happens in this one, but this is a sort of part 2 of our kind of, I guess, like, trilogy of feature-length, no, sort of celebratory, like, hey, we're at episode 100, kind of, here's an arc of some long, fun episodes. But this one, we're really getting into the meat of the, well, we're calling it the Ensign games. Yeah. Again, I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but this was a lot of fun to do this one.
Definitely.
It worked out really well to be episode 100.
Yeah, that wasn't really planned. It just was kind of like, because I'd had this in mind, this sort of little storyline for a little while, and then it just kind of came together. And I think we'd already recorded it before we realised it was going to be episode 100 as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, convenient. So I guess we'll just dive into it then, shall we?
Yeah.
We won't keep anybody waiting any longer.
Enjoy.
Yeah.
Have fun with the episode, guys.
Okay. It is the morning following your semi-disastrous training session together, and you being the team of ensigns picked to represent the USS Tenzing, are beginning to gather in the Deep Space 3 holographic training center ahead of your participation in the day's expedition competitive event. You've been told that the event will be taking place at 11 a.m. and to arrive a little early to assemble and get ready. So with that in mind, I think, actually, the ball is in your court as to how you want to proceed on this day.
Alright, so Katarin is awake, and he is just strolling up and down the corridor leading to where the games are going to be happening, and he's just keeping himself to himself, humming to himself, and he's juggling a little ball of yarn.
Fair enough. Yeah, so you're aboard the station then, that's what you're saying. Yeah, okay. Up bright and early and sort of...
Up bright and early, that'll be me.
Little bit of nervous energy, safe to say?
Yep, that's why he's taking it out on a ball of yarn.
Well, Lila's going to be staying in bed as long as she can. Because, well, we don't know how tiring, energetic this is going to be.
Sleep is important as well, you know. Got to be well rested before something like this.
I think Pherea is going to be organising the tasks list that she has, because there's always something that's going to be needing fixed on the ship. Engineering just doesn't stop all the time. There's always something breaking down. So she's probably going through, she'll maybe even do like some of the quick fixes that she can, just to get them out of the way, just to keep her mind occupied.
Yeah, so almost completely putting the competitive event out of your mind and just be like, well, I've got some work to be getting on with this morning first. Yeah, that's fair enough. Well, what about Johnny? What's Johnny doing?
I suppose Johnny's struggled to sleep a little bit because of the guilt of having failed the team in his eyes a little bit, having thrown him into the gauntlet and it didn't really work out quite as well as he would have liked. And he's very much thinking about how much, well, the try-hard factor is strong, and he's thinking about not wanting to let the team down. And he gets up, doesn't do his usual training because he wants to save energy for it, and after kind of getting into uniform, he decides to have a little meditation session until the last possible moment when he decides to wander down and meet the rest of the gang, and he spots Katarin playing with his yarn ball. Oh, good morning. Is anybody else there? Is it just Katarin that's at the...
I think maybe it's just Katarin at this moment.
Okey-doke. Morning, Katarin. How you going?
Morning, Ensign Johnny. You look well rested.
Oh, well, I'm glad you think so. I didn't really sleep that well, to be honest with you, but I'm trying to pull myself together. We got to do this.
Oh, that we do. Here, fancy a quick juggle with me before it all starts?
Oh, I'm sorry. I've got no coordination on that front.
Well, it's easy. You just put an arm in the air and clasp. Here you go. And I chuck the yarn ball at him.
Shall I roll?
Yes. I think this would be a control security check, which is not too bad for you. Difficulty 1, I think catching a ball is not the hardest of things. So you're aiming for 1 success, getting under a 13.
Secure them
20
balls.
and an 11.
A 20 and an 11. Oh, yeah, that 20, I mean, you got your 1 success, but the 20 is a catastrophic failure, so you catch it. And
It was like, well, thank you, Dice. That's perfect.
yeah. So you catch it, and the thing just, like, unravels in your hands.
And he's now left with handfuls of string. Oh, I'm so sorry. I told you not to throw it to me. And he kind of passes the unwound string back to him, unraveling it off of his fingers in a kind of like never-ending magician's tissue kind of thing out of the sleeve.
There's more than you think there is, and it just seems that there's a lot of it.
Katarin looks at Johnny and goes, not to worry, I was getting bored of the blue one anyway. And then he pulls out a purple one and just starts juggling with that one to himself.
You just brought these with you?
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Well, how do you think the day's going to go then?
Well, hopefully better than yesterday. My apologies again. I shouldn't have turned the difficulty up, maybe.
I wouldn't worry too much about that. At the end of the day, every day's an experience in Starfleet, am I right?
Well, that's 100% correct. At least in my experience, I've certainly, seen some things.
I remember you saying. Still, I've got a feeling we're going to be the first ones here for a while.
Let's immediately prove you wrong. One of the others arrives. Who's getting here next?
So at that point, Lila wanders over.
Oh, good morning.
Morning, Layla.
She's still yawning. Morning. How are we both doing?
I was just saying to Katarin that I didn't sleep very well. You kind of look like maybe you had the same experience. You alright?
I thought I slept well. Maybe I might still be a bit groggy. Fine, I'm sure I'll wake up soon.
Maybe we should get some coffees.
Ooh, coffee sounds good.
So you guys are kind of in like a sort of little concourse area in the middle of the holographic training center. So there are a couple of other people moving around. There actually is a bank of replicators on one wall if you wanted to grab yourself anything.
Looks like a top idea.
Oh, okay then. And we'll all wander over to the replicators and Johnny will have a nice espresso. Just a nice little shot of it.
He's got to power up.
Yeah, just something to give him some of that instant energy. The eyes widened. As soon as he's taken it back, it's like, oh yeah, I feel it.
And Katarin walks over to the replicator and goes, one Raptagino, please.
Into the Klingon coffee.
Yeah. Well, Cat Nippuccino doesn't exist. So.
It could exist, though.
You could.
You're more likely to start tripping balls and really get infused with that yarn ball if you thing.
You getting anything, Lila? Or this is a pretty low stakes decision.
Mocha.
Getting yourself a mocha. Okay.
Yes.
It's a way to start the day.
Sugar and caffeine.
Yeah.
Johnny's looking a bit wild-eyed now as he looks around. Oh, right, okay, I'm ready to go.
There's something in your coffee has got you super pumped.
Well, the espresso is like that's strong coffee, and
yeah.
Like, I don't think he's the type that necessarily drinks it a lot. Body as a temple and all that kind of thing. But he feels like today a boost.
It's a bit of a change from the Trill tea that you had the other day. Yeah. Okay, I think at this point, Ensign Pherea, you would arrive. I think, let's say, with Ensign Haru, and you see the other three members of your team are sort of, they've all got drinks and they're kind of standing around the replicator, just sort of chatting away.
She's gonna give them a friendly wave and pick up a dirty chai latte from the replicator.
Nice. I don't know. This is the coffee shop episode for some reason. I don't know. It's just
what it's turned into in this one.
Yeah, nice. And that's all we got time for. So we'll see you all next week on Frontier. And
Oh, morning, Pherea. Morning, Haru. You ready to go?
As ready as I'm going to be.
Oh, great. And Johnny's kind of like now raring and like the energy levels off the charts. Whether this will crash later, we'll see. But he looks over towards the direction they're meant to be headed in. Are there other ensigns from the other ships starting to like fill the area?
Yeah, I mean, as I said, you guys weren't the only ones in here anyway, by a long shot. It's a fairly large, fairly busy area of the station, especially as we kind of get further into the sort of day cycle. That there's quite a lot of people moving around. Mm-hmm. Looking around, though, you do start to spot a couple of other groups of ensigns, similar to yourselves, begin to filter in, along with a few officers that you sort of recognise the faces, even if you don't kind of know them personally. Shortly after that, though, you do spot, stepping off of a turbo lift, Admiral Holt and the group of 3 expedition captains. Captain Collins in this group spots you all sort of milling around and gives you a quick nod, then gestures for you all to follow the officers to the entranceway of the centre's holodeck 1, clearly the largest of the holodecks in the facility. I will say, as the groups converge, Johnny, you do actually spot your friend Katrina in the group of ensigns representing the USS Auckland.
Aha. Well, has she noticed him or has he noticed her? Is there? Because if she's looking over, he's gonna sort of give a smile and a kind of a look that says, "Are you ready?" Like it's the competition kind of thing. The same vibe as when they were drinking. He's trying to give a look that's like instilling a bit of the like, "Let's do this. I'm gonna beat you again" kind of thing.
Yeah, she kind of returned your look. She didn't say anything, but she's got the look on her face different to like. Obviously, you've met up a couple of times over the last couple of days, went out for the night of drinking, and then met up again in the holodeck. You recognise the look on her face is business face now. She's got a look with she's here to win.
Johnny smiles, but is equally as determined, and turns to the rest of the group and says, "Looks like it's almost time. Are you guys ready?"
As ready as we'll ever be, I suppose.
Ready to go.
Aye, let's see what we've got.
Okay, so with all the competitors assembled then, with a fair amount of other officers and spectators and random passers-by gathered around also, the Admiral calls for quiet and an expectant hush falls. Good morning to all of you. Those who don't know me, I'm Admiral Marcus Holt, Commander of Deep Space 3. Welcome along to what we're calling the Bermuda Cluster Expedition Interfleet Competitive Event. Bit of a mouthful, I know. You all have my utmost respect for agreeing to represent your ships in this event, and I'm sure it will prove to be both challenging and engaging for all involved. You've had the basics explained to you, I'm sure, by your commanders, but I can now reveal the final details of what you'll be facing. When you enter the holodeck, you will find yourselves in one of 3 different scenarios, which our holographic wizards here at the center have cooked up for you. Each scenario will only be run once, so all of you will be entering the unknown when it is your team's turn to face the challenge. I will not reveal ahead of time what you might encounter, but no matter what you find yourself facing, your performance as a team and your ranking in the competition will be judged on your skills, teamwork, professionalism, and ability to act in accordance with the best traditions and values of the Federation and Starfleet. I have great faith in all of you to do your best and represent your ships and your crewmates admirably in this regard. Now, one final thing to keep in mind. He gestures to a hovering camera drone which has been capturing his speech so far. Unlike any previous holodeck experience you may have, this whole event is being broadcast to your ships and throughout the station, not only so the judges may make their decisions, but so that your crewmates may cheer you on. As I said, something to keep in mind. Alright then, before we get started, I will give each of you a moment with your captains, and all that is left for me to say is good luck to all of you. There's a round of applause from all those assembled, and the Admiral steps to one side to have a quiet word with a station officer who's been waiting for him, and as he does so, Captain Collins steps forward to join your group. How are you all feeling this morning? Ready for this?
I'm ready for anything, sir.
I'm ready to give it all we've got, Captain.
Good, glad to hear it.
A bit nervous, sir, but we'll get it done.
Don't worry, you'll do fine.
Lila just kind of looks at everyone's like, I could be a bit happier if it weren't being broadcast, but we shall see.
Yeah, it's a little different, I know, but just keep your heads, stay professional, and I don't know, try not to talk about Ferengi sweat lodges or anything weird like that.
Don't worry, Captain, we won't show you up.
Maintain decorum.
Yeah. Well, I have full confidence in your skills. You've got this. So, any final questions before this whole thing gets started?
Not from me, sir. I just hope that I can do the ship proud.
Super eager, Johnny.
Oh yeah, I told you he's in full-on try-hard mode at this point. This is representing the ship, and he knows that the eyes of the ship are on him. Like this is the chance for Johnny to become known as more than two phases.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, you could probably imagine that, like, coming to the screens everywhere on the Tenzing and that and everything, and it, not that it's being forced broadcast onto everywhere, but like people have been told this is happening, and pride of the ship is on the line here. And not to heap the pressure onto you or anything, but
Also, mass humiliation for the losing team. And bragging rights for the winners.
Yeah. Well then, nothing else to say but good luck and have a good time. The captain gives you all a final encouraging nod and steps back to the Admiral, who speaks up once again. Shall we begin then? Captains, if you would each care to choose a marker from Lieutenant Campbell. The station officer steps forward and looks to be holding up 3 isolinear chips, his hand obscuring their lower halves. Captain Richards of the Nelson steps forward first, deliberates a moment, then chooses the chip on the left, which he holds up to show a number 2 engraved into the chip. Team Nelson will go second. Collins and Karata good-naturedly make a show of each offering for the other to go first, before Captain Karata of the Auckland, smiling, chooses the middle chip. He looks at it for a second, before turning to wink at Collins and reveals a number 3. Team Auckland will be going third, which means, Captain Collins, your team has the honour of going first. The Admiral smiles at all of you before turning to the assembled crowd. Let's hear it then for Team Tenzing. Good luck to all of you. There's another round of applause, more specifically for you guys this time then, and the assembled officers part to reveal the opening holodeck doors behind them, waiting for you to enter. So, as a group, you step forward into the holodeck. Can I get just a d6 dice roll from one of you to determine which scenario you are going to be facing? Way I'm going to do this, 1s and 2s is going to be scenario 1, 3s and 4s is scenario 2, 5s and 6s is scenario 3.
Okay. I got 2.
A 2, okay. So we are going with scenario 1.
Okay.
So, your group steps into the holodeck and the doors slide shut behind you. There's a beat, and then the program begins. And the 5 of you find yourselves in a shuttle bay. A familiar sight, especially for you, Kataran, as a con officer. It looks to be basically a 1-to-1 copy of the Tenzing's main shuttle bay, or at least another Nebula or Galaxy-class main shuttle bay. On the deck, facing the open shuttle bay doors, kind of in front of you, and with an open side hatch, is a Danube-class runabout.
Okay. Looking around the holodeck, like the scenario that's now taking place, are we the only humanoids? Are there holographic actors in the room with us?
There are a holographic ground crew, actually. Yeah, it's by all. If you didn't know you were in the holodeck, it just looks like you're in the hangar bay, basically, of the Tenzing. So there's ground crew working on other shuttles around you and that. But let's say the runabout is sort of in front of you. But you can talk to other people if you'd like.
Okay. Noting the general ambience in the room, Johnny looks around at the rest of them and says, "Well, it looks quiet enough in here for now. Anybody see anything happening? Anything that we could be doing?"
Maybe if we check internal sensors, see what's going on around, or maybe we have to do something with the shuttlecraft?
I think checking the sensors is a good start.
Well, Lila's the science person, so she's going to go over to one of the computers and just start tapping away, trying to figure out if there's anything interesting or unusual.
Okay, so what the computer's in the hangar bay rather than in the runabout, just to clarify?
In the bay, I think.
Okay.
At least initially.
Okay, so you're just kind of looking for kind of sort of a general overview of where you are and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so it doesn't take you long to pull up details of the ship's position, and I don't need a check for this. As you're all well versed in using ship's computer systems and things like that, so that this isn't going to be and especially as you're a science officer, you're you know what you're doing when it comes to pulling up this kind of information. The ship is in orbit of an unnamed planet with a complex system of rings around it. It is an M-class planet, so it's got an atmosphere that's breathable for most humanoid life. And marked on the surface is just a little icon that indicates a Starfleet sensor outpost.
Okay. Are there any... is there any new information about the sensor outpost?
Only that it's like the only constructed building on the planet as far as sensors can tell.
Okay. So I'm going to turn to the rest of the group. We're orbiting an M-class planet. There's a sensor outpost down there, but not very much else.
Maybe we've got a link to the outpost. We could maybe see if we can bring up some of the information from it.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. I mean, we've got to try and gather something up, and we could try talking to the ground crew that are in here. I guess the scenario has got to be programmed with enough information for us to make some headway. So,
I mean, I'm thinking of the W's. Where are we? Why are we here? Who are we with?
Okay, who's talking to them? Lila is very aware that we are currently on screen and not doing anything.
well, I'll put my best foot forward. And Johnny confidently strides over to the first holographic actor that's kind of close. Says, "Oh, what a great day to be in Starfleet. But what kind of a day is this today? What are we doing in here, sir?"
Okay, the ground crew guy is just a human man. He sort of looks at you and says, Ensign, it's another great day. You ready for your mission?
Well, we were just getting prepared. Did you have any information about what we can expect? I assume we're going down to the planet.
Runabout's fueled and ready.
Fantastic. Well, is there any well, as I say, what's the situation down there?
They haven't told me anything. They just, we prep the runabouts and that. I don't know. Maybe speak to your superiors.
Oh, duly noted, of course. My apologies. Well, I'll leave you to get on with your work, and me and my team here, we'll get on with it. Johnny walks back over to the rest of them. Says, he wasn't too helpful, but I think if we get in the runabout and call into command, as it were, they should be able to give us an update on what's going on here. I think we're going down to the planet to investigate something.
That's
Okay, right, let's go on. Let's go.
Right, we're going on then, okay.
I like Lila hurrying everybody along, like, come on, we're on camera. Like,
We're on camera. We don't really have time to stand about.
Don't want to stand about.
You get a little bit of a sense from Johnny's behaviour already that, like, he's very aware that he's on camera and that he's playing up just a little bit more than he ought to, perhaps.
hello, Mr. President. How are you? I got this idea. Johnny's just like, he's not a great actor. Sorry, just popped in my head.
Starboard bay.
But he was being so sweet and polite to the hologram.
So yeah, we'll all get in the runabout, I guess, at this point.
Okay.
Yep.
You can see it. It's fairly standard configuration as you get in. You've been in these runabouts a few times, and that. And as I said, Johnny, you have been in a crash in one of these runabouts before. As I say, it's all powered up and ready to go. It's basically just sat there idling.
Johnny does a quick, knowing the layout of these things, he does a quick check in all the compartments to make sure that there's a complement of weapons and all the bits and pieces that he would expect to be there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it all looks. There's anything you might need. There's it's a sort of standard weapons rack. There's a couple of phaser rifles, a couple of standard hand phasers, and it's also engineering kits, medical kits, tricorders. It's fully kitted out.
Okay. Turning to the others, he says, I think we should all probably grab some equipment just in case, we don't know what's waiting for us down there. We should probably get kitted up.
Fair, yep. But Lila's going to go over and see if they've got any details of the mission on the runabout computers.
Okay. There isn't like a flight plan wild or anything, but as you sit down, the communications console comes to life, and an officer appears on the screen. You don't recognize them, so it's possible it's just something that's been generated. Probably, in fact, it's probable. It's just a random generation by the computer. It's a Kelpian with commander's pips on their collar.
Away team, are you ready to launch?
Yes, sir. Almost ready, sir. Just a quick clarification, sir. What is the purpose of our mission again?
We have lost contact with the Starfleet outpost on the planet below us, Melran 7. We do not know the cause of the disruption, but you are to fly down and render any assistance necessary to the Starfleet team crewing the outpost. While you are down there, you will be on your own, as we must make all haste with the ship to the evolving medical emergency in the neighboring Corvella system. You are to make contact with us for regular check-ins at 3-hour intervals. Launch when ready.
Okay, so with that little sort of mini briefing given, the door to the runabout closes behind you all, and you are free to launch at will.
Kataran takes controls and goes, engines online, engaging thrusters, here we go.
Haru says, everybody buckle up.
Johnny's already taken a seat and buckled up because quietly there's some part of him that's got a small amount of PTSD and is very conscious of, like, I've been in one of these when it went down. This could go wrong. I don't know what this scenario is. I don't want to get thrown around the ship.
Yeah. Also, the last time you were in one of these, it was quite a bumpy ride as well because you were flying away from the surface of Jakir.
Yeah, that strap was tight.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not comfy to be thrown around in.
No. Pherea's probably settled down with a pad, trying to bring up the schematics of the communications. See if she can figure out maybe why they're not responding.
Okay. Are you trying to, like, connect with them, or are you just bringing up, like, an archive of the...
No, I'm just bringing up the archive of the schematics.
Okay.
So she can familiar herself with them.
Yeah, it's a pretty standard Starfleet design, almost like a kind of prefab structure, to be honest. It's comprised of a smallish 2-story building. It's got a computer core, a small fusion reactor, living quarters, and a control center. Built into the top of the building is a kind of large subspace communications array, which is the outpost's primary purpose. There's outposts like these on any number of sort of fringe worlds around the Federation. They're designed to be pretty much self-sufficient. The one below you is marked as having a crew of 4 who have a single Type 8 shuttlecraft at their disposal for emergency situations. As I said, all fairly standard stuff. This particular outpost is located atop a kind of rocky escarpment overlooking some rolling plains.
Is it an unmanned post then? Yeah.
No, crew of 4.
Crew of 4. Okay.
Which is, it's odd that you've lost contact with it.
I assume that was some basic medical, like first aid stuff in the lockers as well.
On board your runabout.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a med kit, and it's fully stocked. You do have Ensign Haru, who is a medical officer as well. So, okay. So, Kataran, you bring the runabout out of the bay, and shortly after you get clear, the ship you were aboard, a galaxy class, it turns out, goes to warp, leaving you alone in the system. Bringing the runabout about, your destination planet is laid out and visible below you. Now, this planet has, as I said, a fairly complex system of rings, composed of a mixture of rock and ice, which you can clearly see visually from your current position.
Kataran is going to... Well, he's got... I'm looking at the character sheet. He's got a talent, Cautious Con, so does that link up with manoeuvring through difficult space?
I'm going to have to look up what that is.
Okay.
Cautious Con. Okay, whenever you attempt a task with Con and you buy 1 or more d20s by spending momentum, you may re-roll 1. So basically, that only comes into play if you buy a d20 with momentum.
And currently we have no momentum because we've not even started.
No momentum.
Fair enough. Okay.
That is a useful thing. So, like, if you know, say it was a harder task, you were rolling with extra dice from that, you could, if you wanted to, use that talent to re-roll one of them. So right. that I think is quite useful. Yeah, it just doesn't. It's just not in play right now.
That's cool. All right, in that case, Taran is just heading towards the planet, and as he approaches the rings, he says, "Getting mildest gravimetric disturbance from the rings of this planet. I'm going to take us towards the upper atmosphere. Try and get out of range."
Can I get a control con check from you? Difficulty 2. 18 and 8. So you got one success there. So, as you start your maneuver, everything is fine. You know, you're out of the way of most of the rings. You're out of, of the larger sort of chunks. And there's a sudden beeping, and the computer voice says,
"Warning, gravitational shear detected."
You don't have much time to react to this before the runabout bucks wildly out of your control for a moment, and there are the unmistakable thumps of several things impacting the outer hull.
Who are?
What was that?
Johnny's hands are digging into the armrests at this point. White-knuckled, he's saying nothing.
As you bring the runabout back under your control, the controls themselves seem to be reacting a little sluggishly.
Is that why they're slimy?
Let's get on the sensors. Check it out. What did we hit, or what hit us?
Can I get from you, Pherea, I guess this would be reason engineering check. Okay. You got 2 successes. I didn't even say how difficult it was, but yeah, it's. So in your quick scan, you are quite unnerved to find that a warning pops up on your screen. Impulse reaction chamber, particle clog.
Oh, no. Freya's going to frantically try and diagnose the problem. There's a clog somewhere, then I'm assuming something's gone trapped in it, or we've hit something and gone trapped in it.
I mean, that is possible. I mean, other than the warning, which only warned of a gravitational shear, it definitely did sound like the runabout was being impacted by something, debris, maybe.
Reaction chamber is clogged with something from the rings. We're going to have to flush the system before we reignition the engines.
So this is going to be a multi-stage thing, so I'm going to need... I will leave it up to you guys who does what, but this is going to be a multi-step process. So I'll outline what the 3 things you need to do here to get yourself back on track. First things first, you need to shut down the impulse drive, but you need to do it in a way that doesn't cause a radiation surge, because the particles are blocking out the reaction chamber, and if you do it the wrong way, it could be a little bit iffy, shall we say. That's stage 1. Stage 2 is to decouple it from the fuel supply. That's not quite so iffy, but it is a little bit tricky. You're going to be having to open panels in the inside of the runabout to get to the engine systems to do this as well. And the final stage is to unclog the reaction chamber and vent the particles, and that is again going to take a different check. So all 3 of these are going to require checks. All 3 are difficulty 2. So it is up to you guys who does what. This is not going to be everybody's speciality. I'd say this is more like starting with... It's mostly engineering stuff, but there is a bit of a science thing involved here as well.
Pherea is going to flip out her engineering screwdriver.
Mm-hmm.
Her sonic screwdriver.
I nearly said something. I thought about AJ's reaction. I stopped myself. I'm glad you've taken the metaphorical bullet there.
I'm the engineer. I get to have the sonic screwdriver.
It doesn't do wood.
Good thing this is
luckily,
titanium.
Exactly. Good thing this is titanium. And she's just gonna like smile and just like, I love my job, but at the moment I'm gonna need a lot of help. This is gonna be a little bit difficult.
So step 1 is a difficulty 2 daring engineering or daring science check to shut it down without a radiation surge. This is a little tricky because it's got the daring thing on it. This isn't your usual sort of reason. This is a slightly finicky task that needs to be done. This is an unusual task, should we say? So
very delicately.
Yeah, so either daring engineering or daring science. Anyone can have a go if they think if they're confident in their ability on this.
Johnny's pretty daring and has a reasonable capacity for science. So, taking note of the tasks at hand, he sees that this one is one of the very few things that doesn't involve engineering as a primary thing, and volunteers and says, I think I might be capable of that. Do you want me to give it a go?
Sure. Just watch the radiation levels. You don't want to surge.
Oh, definitely not. And he cautiously unbuckles himself and heads to whichever panel it is that he needs to operate to.
So that this one, to do this, you don't need to pop open any of the access panels or anything. But this will require some. This is the sort of carefully shutting down the engine sort of stage.
Okay.
So it's not just you're not just messing with the throttle. This is a little bit more of a trickier thing.
Looking to see if there's anything that could assist me on my character sheet.
Yeah.
Would risk analysis give me any kind of an edge as one of my focuses?
You know what? It might. Up till now, I've kind of been using, if you can pitch me a reason why a focus would help, I've basically been using that as a reason to drop the difficulty. And I'm not 100% sure that's how it's meant to be, but that's kind of what we've been doing up to this point in the series, isn't it? So if you can pitch me on it, the risk analysis, Johnny's got the wherewithal to be like, right, okay, I know what I need to be aiming for here. And, you've got the skill. Based on that, I will drop the difficulty to 1.
Okay, I think I've got an angle on that. So,
okay.
Johnny is wired. He is buzzing. His eyes have been shifting left and right. Everything's high tension already. So his
coffee
adrenaline
is flowing through your veins.
And on that basis, he's going to be able to kind of keep an eye on the numbers, the radiation levels and what have you, and really kind of like quickly react when he sees things starting to move.
Sure.
And in that respect, would be able to maintain a balance, I think.
Okay. I will agree with that. Yeah. Yeah, this is why I like the focuses system, actually, because it's kind of they're a little bit abstract in general, them and the sort of values, but it's the thing of like if you can convince me that something that your character is good at is relevant, it makes things easier for you, kind of thing. That's why I kind of like the system. So it's sort of like I'm like again, I might be completely botching how it's meant to be done in game, but I think that kind of works as like a thing of like, you've built your character to be good at this, here's a situation where it's relevant, sort of thing. I don't know. Yeah.
Works now.
Okay. So
right, shall I roll for it then?
Yes. So can I get a daring science check from you then, if that's what you're going for?
Okay.
So you're actually looking for 14 and under. Your difficulty 1 because you've convinced me that your risk analysis is relevant here.
Boom.
12 and a 6. You could have done that with difficulty 2. Excellent. So that's 2 successes. Because you dropped the difficulty, though, you now get a point of momentum. Because you got 2 successes on a difficulty 1 instead of a difficulty 2. So put that in the bank.
So yeah, Johnny diligently monitors the levels and does his thing.
Carefully monitoring the levels in the impulse drive as you slowly sort of back the power off and everything. The sort of background hum of the engines dies down as you power them down, and you are not all flooded with radiation.
Huzzah!
All right. So step 2 in this problem, you need to. Whoever wants to do this, again, this is anyone who thinks they they've got the skill or they want to try it. Step 2, decouple the deuterium fuel supply. Now this is going to involve taking off one of the floor panels to get down into the engine array. And it is accessible. You know, this isn't like you're not going to be crawling around in ducts or anything. But this is a little bit of a different check here. This is a reason engineering check, difficulty 2.
That would be me then.
Still difficulty 2. I'm just looking at your focuses. The deuterium fuel supply. You have power systems, EPS power systems, transporters and replicators, maintenance procedures, isolinear computers, and composure. Do you think any of those is relevant? I think maintenance procedures might be, actually.
Yeah, I was thinking the same, actually. Because I'd imagine their first year on a starship would be running maintenance all the time, so they can familiarize themselves with all the systems.
Yeah,
I can imagine that would be one. Yeah, we could try that.
Yeah, so you're saying it's probably likely that Pherea's done a rotation working on the ship's shuttles and runabouts and that.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
It's a smaller warp core to deal with.
Yeah,
the big warp core.
Yeah. Okay. Based on that, then, based on your focus being relevant, I will drop this difficulty to 1. So you're looking for 15 or under on a reason engineering check on difficulty 1. Ooh, 15 and a 1. So you get 2 successes from that 1. So that's 3 successes on this difficulty 1 check. So that's going to give you another 2 points of momentum on this. So you guys are absolutely killing it with these rolls right now.
Nice.
Wow.
3 momentum.
3 momentum. So you're building it up on this. So you're showing your skill. So far, we've had no major screw ups in this. In this.
Don't say that.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't want to jinx it. In this broadcast emergency. And yeah, so yeah, reaching around inside the engine compartment. It's not. I mean, if you didn't know what you were doing, this would be trickier. But you've spent a bit of time in these kind of runabouts and that. You know where things go. And part of your work in them was when you were working on the impulse engines. Of course, you had to decouple the fuel supply. So this is, you know what you're doing here.
She's like set to work.
Yeah.
She's gotten the screwdriver. She's literally just like been speed running the screws for the panel, off the panel. She's down in the guts of the machine.
Yeah. This is a procedure you've done before. This isn't a new thing, I think.
The sleeves have rolled up. She's all like, "Yep, right, we're here."
Yeah.
Let's go. I'm in my element.
You're in your element. So yeah, you've successfully decoupled the deuterium supply. So that is 2 out of 3 stages done. Now, stage 3, the reaction chamber needs to be unclogged and the particles vented. Now this is again difficulty 2. It's control engineering or control science.
My science is good, my control is not. Yeah, I've got 8 and 4.
Pherea, again, you have 11 and 4 or 11 and 4 on this, so...
Yeah, I think it's...
Am I the better candidate?
I'm just looking at everyone's sheets, and actually, yeah, you might be the best candidate again on this one.
I can imagine that, like, a few of the team are maybe, like, looking over my shoulder, and Freya's just like, "See, this is how I need to do this bit, and then we need to do this. And if you connect that bit there, then we can do this." And she's, like, talking through them, and they're probably not understanding what she's even meaning. She's just kind of babbling on her thought process.
Yeah.
Nervous because she knows she's on camera as well. So she's like extra babbling.
So yeah, okay. I mean, again, do you think any of your focuses would come under here? Power systems, EPS would not. I don't think.
No.
Not transporters. Maintenance procedures, isolinear computers, definitely not. Composure, probably not.
I would maybe say maintenance again, but maybe she's maybe only done it once or twice. Maybe it's not something she's as familiar with, whereas the decoupling thing would be more.
Yeah, I think impulse engines are kind of their own focus.
Unless you guys want me to use one of our momentum.
You could totally buy another dice with the.
Or is
momentum.
it or do we want to save it?
It's there to be used, and
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, I'll use one of our momentum then.
What's your feeling on whether maintenance procedures covers this? Because I feel like this isn't a standard procedure, this one. Like, decoupling the previous step, decoupling the fuel supply, that's part of your day-to-day and working on this. But having a clogged reaction chamber, and that is a bit of a rarity on these.
I'm thinking she's probably read about it, and they've like maybe done like a practice.
you were taught this is how you do this thing.
Yeah.
That you never have to actually do it.
Yeah, you haven't done it before.
Because I'd imagine the safety protocols are so inbuilt in everything, and that it may have never gotten to that point, like despite some like fluke accident or something.
Yeah. So maybe you know what to do, but you haven't done it. So maybe this is still a difficulty too, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she's probably a bit nervous with this.
Yeah. But you're spending a momentum for an extra die.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So 3d20, a 12, a 3, and a 2. So that is 3 successes again. So you spend a momentum and immediately gain it back.
Yay!
So we're still at 3. So yeah, I mean, it was worth the gamble there, you know. So it takes you. I'd say that this isn't an instant thing. The whole procedure is, over the course of, from Johnny shutting the engine down and decoupling the fuel supply takes a little bit. This bit here takes you. It's a little bit fiddly to get into the reaction chamber from the inside of the runabout. Normally this would be something where you would need to, you could get to it from the outside, kind of part of the engine, and that it is doable, but it takes maybe you a little bit longer to do it. You got 3 successes, so you are able to do it. Able to sort of, you're not like pulling out handfuls of stuff. It's just kind of there's a way of flushing it from so that will throw the stuff out the back of the engine, basically.
I just have this image of her legs just being like sticking out of the panel, and all you hear is like her humming to try and like remember what to do and like the process of doing it.
Yeah, and
then like smacking her fingers off something and going, "Ow! God damn it!"
Yeah. So as you do that, as you hit your hand and such, you do that just as you're completing the procedure. So yeah, you have cleared the problem with the impulse chambers.
Woo! Should be good now. Probably safest to just use thrusters for now until I get a good look at the engines.
Aye. Down to inertial thrusters only.
Nice and slow.
Kataran, can I get another control con check for you then? As you continue your way down towards the surface of the planet. Difficulty 2 again.
And here she goes.
17 and a 4. Okay, control con, you were aiming for 15 or under, so that's 1 success again. This is a bit of a bumpy ride down, I would say. Not the smoothest ever. You do get the feeling if you'd have had full control, this would have been easier. This would have been the smooth landing that you're used to. It's been a little while since you've landed on just thrusters. They're usually used for orbital maneuvering. That is doable, but this is, as I say, it's a bit bumpy. And you are a little bit off course as you head down towards the planet. So you don't come in directly above the outpost, but you are able to bring just about safely down. But it's a bumpy ride. This was not the smoothest of landings.
And there, and we're down.
Johnny, flashbacks.
Yeah, how are you feeling, Johnny?
He's back in the chair, strapped in, and looking around cautiously. Everybody else kind of like white knuckled, bracing himself as they come in with this bumpy landing again.
I think I overshot the landing site we were meant to head to. Apologies for that, but at least we're down safe. Everybody all right back there?
Yeah, just about. And Johnny pulls his fingernails out of the chair arms.
I think I left my breakfast back in the ship.
Ooh, I wonder what that smell was.
Pherea, have you thrown up?
Probably.
Oh no, on camera.
Well, if you want to do like some kind of fitness check to see
Yeah, actually, go on.
Oh god, how did we gauge Johnny's drunkenness for? That was like fitness control, like fitness. Well, if we with Pherea, if we go fitness medicine, that is a straight 10, so that's like a 50-50 chance of
Yeah.
Okay, it's only going to be difficulty 1, I think, but I'm looking for
She's
some
an engineer. She's
one
not
success.
used to flying about.
Yeah. Okay. Ooh, no, you've thrown up. That's a 20 or 9.
Yeah, I feel it's very in like Pherea's character to be. She's yeah. And now she's all embarrassed. She's like, "Yeah, I've been sick."
It's not dying down the front of you or anything. It's just
No.
Yeah.
It's just
Fine.
It's just adhering to gravity, and just the trail of it is dripping down to the rear of the ship from a slight slope.
Don't make it worse.
It can't get any worse than being on live broadcast.
Stop reminding her of that.
Pherea's just like cleaning her face up and stuff, and just like it's fine. Let's get on with what we're here to do.
Right then.
Okay, so in your sort of rocky descent, you came down a little off course, it turns out, which is, I guess, it's understandable. But you made it down. But the runabout sensors indicate that from your current position, the outpost itself is a little over 2 miles away. So you've got a small hike ahead of you to get there from here, across the sort of rolling plains and hills and whatnot.
Johnny is starting to collect bits and pieces and distribute them out to everybody. Phasers if anybody's missing one. Survival kit if there's one on the ship, just in case, because he's very much like, this is so familiar to him at this point. We've just had a bumpy landing on a planet where we've now got to trek through wilderness. He's going to be looking out for pointy plants that react to noise and stuff like that.
That was my first thought.
This whole holo
Travel
program is
quietly.
designed to give Johnny flashbacks.
Yeah, it's in a way though where it's not necessarily shaking him. It's more like it's instilling a certain amount of like, I know how to deal with this. Here's the equipment. We'll make sure that everybody's ready for this. And yeah, very much trying to sort of get everybody ready before we head out the door.
We're not going to be able to get the runabout back off of the planet unless we do something about the engines, right?
Definitely looks that way.
Do all of us go and check out what's happening at the sensor outpost? Or do one or two of us stay back and work on the engines?
Oh, that's a fair point. How long... Does anybody have any idea how long it might take to get the ship back up and running?
I'm gonna have to look at it, but I don't know. Until I get a good read on what the actual issues are, probably best I stay here and get her going.
Okay, well, we should at least have a look outside of the ship. If you're going to need to investigate the, potential damage to the engines, then we should... Well, I'm happy to lead the way. If you guys want to follow me out, we'll see what's out there.
Aye, we'll have a look around first. It might help give you an idea of how long it's going to take.
I'm gonna pick up a engineering tricorder and...
So are you leaving Pherea alone in the runabout? Is that what's happening here? That's not a leading question. I want to know what this...
Come outside with us to have a look at what the damage is,
Yeah,
what the impact looks like, and what it looks like, how much damage it has done.
Yeah, because she might need help.
On the inside.
Yeah.
And then we can work out if we need to leave 2 people to be working on that.
I will say, you didn't crash. You did land.
No, but
We still don't know where we are, though.
Yeah.
Concerned that thrusters aren't going to break us free of the planet's gravity.
Yeah, and it did take a bit of a beating, so there might be other stuff that is now apparent now that we can get outside the ship.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, at this point, I'm thinking if the team splits up, it might be a good idea for Kataran to stay behind, because if they do get the runabout up, they can fly over to the outpost for emergency extraction if it comes to that.
Sounds like the best choice, I think.
Yeah, because he's the one with the con skills.
Security, medical, and science seem like the better options to go to the outpost anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Sure.
Okay.
That wasn't like oh my god, why are you splitting the party? Question. It was literally, I just was like, I needed to know who was going where. That was all.
Yeah, no, I think that's good logic for who needs to go where and why.
Yeah. Sure. Okay. So you're all kind of going outside firstly then. The first thing you notice when you see the outside of the runabout is there is a definite line of kind of scorch marks and little pop marks where whatever you flew into has left its mark on going along the side, and you can see that the starboard nacelle has definitely taken a bit of a beating. It's not completely damaged, but there's definitely you can see this is where it flooded the particles into the reaction chamber from.
Ooh, that's what caused our little hiccup there.
Yeah, breach in the nacelle. You're definitely not going to buff that out.
Give me a few hours. I'll have this thing up and running in no time.
Right.
Let's have a look at this damage then. Gonna take our tricorder out and do a brief scan.
Sure. Can I get I guess this will be reason engineering. Difficulty, I think difficulty 1 for you, because this is maintenance. Well, you got 2 successes there. So I get 1 more point of momentum. You're the momentum generator on this. We're at 4.
Ooh, that's 4.
Wow.
Okay, so yeah, you pull out your engineering tricorder and you go over the engine, and it does look like the actual the warp and cell key components haven't been breached, so you weren't in danger of the runabout's warp core cooking off or anything like that.
Being blown to smithereens.
Yeah, it does need a little bit of work to prevent the impulse reaction chamber from flooding again the next time that you hit basically anything, but that is doable. It's just going to take you some time.
Okay, I'm gonna need my kit, a cushion, and some time, but this is fine. I can fix this. We'll be out here, no problem.
I think it'd be wise if I stay behind. If we really can get this thing working, we can fly over to the outpost and meet you there.
Yeah, that's perfect. We can test them out before we just in case as well, so that all systems are going, just in case.
Yep.
Yeah, no, that's perfect.
Right. Well, let's maintain comms contact. We'll update you with any progress.
Well, Leela, it looks like it's me, you, and Haru. And he looks out to the horizon. What kind of a trek is ahead of them? At least, what can you see in terms of the trail ahead? Is it rocky terrain? What's the temperature? What's the daytime? Give me the rundown.
It's a little warm here. It's probably. I mean, you haven't pulled out a tricorder to check, but I'd probably say it's pushing 30 degrees Celsius.
Mm-hmm.
It's a sort of sunny day. It's a fairly temperate kind of climate, really, but it's just a little warmer than you're maybe used to. It's definitely warmer than you're used to on the ship. Mm-hmm. There's some sort of wispy clouds overhead, but by and large, it's a pretty cloudless sky. Looking at the terrain, you can see the outpost from here. As I said, it was kind of on a bit of a sort of outcropping, but it's definitely a couple of miles distant. The outpost is north about 2 miles away, 2.5 miles away. About 1.5 miles away, in a west-northwest direction, you can see a plume of smoke rising.
Oh.
You can't see what it's coming from. The terrain in between you and both of these, whatever they are, is kind of the sort of rocky sort of hills and outcroppings and things. It's sort of a bit of a kind of rolling sort of terrain. Not all rocks. You're not picking your way through kind of nasty sort of, nasty kind of valleys or anything like that. But, there's just some obscuring things. Yeah.
Okay. Noting the plume of smoke then, is it obvious enough that everybody would see this if they looked in that direction?
Oh, yeah, I don't need to check for this. You can all see it. I say that you're only, only 2.5 miles away from the outpost, and because it's on a thing, you can all see it. It's a little distant, but you can see it. Turning to the others then, you see that smoke over there? I get the feeling like that might be an answer to some of the questions of what's happening here. What do you think about a little detour on the way over to the outpost? I'm good with whatever.
I agree. I think we need to check it out.
Well, we should be prepared for anything. If that's, we don't know the source of that smoke. It could be that there's danger in that direction, so make sure your weapons are primed. And, let's start the hike. We'll leave Katara and Pherea. I hope everything goes well with the ship, and, catch up with us when you can.
Okay, so yeah, the group splits into a 3 and a 2. I think, is it heading for the smoke? As I say, it's about 1.5 miles away. It's not the worst terrain, but there is a little bit of kind of picking your way over sort of hills and things like that. And it's not all rocky, but there are some trickier descents and things. So I think maybe from each of the trekking crew, that's an awful title.
It works.
Yeah. If I could just get I think this would just be a fitness security check from each of the trekkers. Just difficulty 1, just to sort of, this is to see what kind of pace you're making as you go through the terrain, just to sort of see how we get there. So we've got a 14 and a 5 from Lila. I almost called you a reeler then. And you were aiming for under 11, so you got your 1 success. Johnny, you were aiming for under 15, and you got 2 successes. I'll just roll for Haru, who is aiming for under 10. 3 successes with Haru. So actually, here's the thing: we're getting so much momentum. Let's start spending it. Did we previously establish the limit 6? Didn't we?
Yes.
Okay, we're at the limit then.
Okay.
Yeah, making solid progress then as a group.
I'd say then, yeah, picking your way over the terrain and that, it takes you maybe for 1.5 miles. It's taking you maybe 25 minutes just because of the terrain. I mean, if it was a flat thing, 1.5 miles, Johnny, I'd imagine you, with your fitness training and that, you could run that in. What's Johnny's mile?
Oh God, I don't even know what an average mile would be for a reasonable athlete to answer that question.
Okay, well, let's just say it wouldn't take you this long if it was decent terrain, but it's taking you about 25 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
A fast walk is 4 miles an hour.
Yeah.
On rough terrain, 25 minutes seems pretty reasonable.
Yeah.
As we arrive there, you can see that Leela's been struggling with it a bit more than the other two.
Hiking is maybe not your thing.
No, definitely not.
Used to working in a lab and things.
Not a hill climber.
Yeah. Okay, so you crest the last little hill and look down into a shallow depression in the landscape. What you see is a crashed Federation shuttlecraft. On its side, which looks to be the source of the plume of smoke that you've been following. It's a little smaller than your runabout. From your vantage point, you recognise that this is a Type 8 shuttle, which is a match for the type which was stationed at the outpost. As I say, it's on its side and is definitely leaking smoke. So yeah, it doesn't look to be in a very good condition.
Looks like somebody didn't stick the landing quite as well as we did. I think we'd better get down there and check for survivors. Johnny pulls out a tricorder and directs it. Are we within range that he could pick up anything, or would we need to get closer before that's viable?
You could probably pull out. You could probably go from here with the tricorder. Can I get a reason science check from you then?
Reason science, okay.
10 and a 5, nice. So yeah, 2 successes. I was about to say difficulty 2 because of the distance, so that's your 2 successes. You are picking up that this smoke is toxic. Obviously, something in the engine is something in the equipment of the runabout is. This isn't just smoke. This is got some chemicals in it, so you maybe don't want to breathe it in too much. Don't get a face full of toxic gas, basically.
Okay.
You are picking up 3 faint life readings inside the shuttlecraft.
Is the toxic element something that would be expected to come out of a ship, out of a runabout, or is this something extra? Is this something completely unexpected?
I think, can I get a reason engineering check?
Oh dear. These are not Johnny's strong suits.
16 and 4. Well, yeah, you get your 1 success on that. This isn't your strong suit, as you say, but nothing completely out of the ordinary flags up for you. This is maybe consistent with something in the engine has been damaged and is leaking basically.
Okay. We've got 3 life signs down there, but there's high toxicity in the air. We're going to need to be careful on the approach. It looks like, well, somebody's going to need some assistance by the looks of things. Leela, you ready?
Yep, let's go.
Haru?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. We need to get to these people.
Okay. Johnny starts kind of like, as quickly as possible, kind of coming down the hillside. Is it a rocky hillside? I've got visions of, like, I'm sure it's Riker or something at one point climbing down like a rocky hillside.
A little bit, yeah. It's not unpassable. Kind of, I'm not going to need a check to do it. It's just, yeah.
I'm just catching the visual.
Yeah. It's not a million miles away from the valley that the crashed. Just to pull another parallel to your previous mission, it's not a million miles away from the valley that the crashed remains of the ship on Zukia were nestled in. But except it's a sunny day and not in the middle of a planet-wide storm here. So, but with a little bit of effort, but not enough that I'm going to need you to roll for it. You were able to pick your way down the side and get to the shuttlecraft. So the first thing you can see is it does look to be pretty well damaged, but the main access hatch has been blocked by debris.
Okay. What size of debris are we talking about here? Is it a giant rock? Is this something Johnny could lay hands on and potentially muscle out of the way?
That would be... You could try. Yeah, it doesn't look unmovable.
Okay. Can we get another scan just to get a sense? Are the 3 life signs definitely inside the runabout right now?
Yeah. I mean, that was pretty well confirmed on the first one.
Right. I'm happy to help try to move this rock.
Yeah, I think, well, many hands make light work. Let's give this a go.
Yeah. Okay.
And fitness.
Can I get fitness security checks from both of you then? I think difficulty 1, because on your own it was going to be difficulty 2, but you're both having a go, so that's 1 success from Johnny.
Well, I need to get 11 or under, so...
2 successes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Okay.
Leela suddenly finds some strength from somewhere.
That was a case of, like you say, many hands make light work. So between, let's just say, between the group, you're able to clear away this debris and pull the emergency release on the hatch, which pops open, and you can see it's a pretty well messed up inside the shuttle, but there are 3 unconscious people in the inside, and the sort of the structure and all the equipment is smashed up. This has clearly been a crash,
Seeing inside, were these people sensible enough to wear their seatbelts? Are they in their chairs?
They were. Safety first.
Okay, so they're kind of, I guess, hanging on the wall, almost, from our perspective?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. Oh, we're going to need to be careful getting these guys down. I guess, well, many hands again. Let's do this. Let's get them all down onto the ground and away from this shuttle.
Haru rushes forward and goes, we should check them for injuries first. We don't want to exacerbate any problems. So I have a series of reason medicine checks to do for Haru. Difficulty 2 on each one.
And we got lots of momentum.
I'm aiming for 15 or under on each of these, so I'll describe the people as she gets to them. So the first of them seem to be the pilot. Doesn't look like too bad. There's not, externally at least, just looking at them, looks like they're just unconscious. And she scans them with her tricorder. 12 and a 7, so that's the 2 successes I needed. She turns and says, this one has some internal bleeding. We need to be careful if we don't exacerbate it when we move it, but the spine seems okay.
Okay, Leela, let's start trying to get them down while they check the other ones. And Johnny takes position to try and.
Yeah. I don't think I'll make you you roll for this, because this is sort of just like you're being told, be careful, or it's not a problem. Get them out of here as quick as possible. Basically, is I think the thing. That so long as you've been told, don't just chuck them around. I think
we'll.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah. I mean, you've all, as part of your Starfleet training, had a basic medical class.
Yeah, Johnny's got medicine 3, so he's not ignorant,
Yeah.
and in that respect wouldn't put them into a fireman's lift knowing that they've got internal bleeding. Instead, kind of tries to, I don't know, bring them down to be hoisted over his shoulder a bit, and starts leading one of them out, that first one, and with the intent of kind of coming backwards and forwards and assisting with ferrying them away. I
think that's probably a good way to do it. I'm not, as I said, I'm not going to make you roll for them, because it's more sort of you're being told, here's what you need to do here, and things like this. So, it's not too bad. So the second one was in the co-pilot seat, and there's a lot of blood on their head, and the top of their uniform is quite soaked with blood here. So I'm going to roll 2d20. 15 and a 3, so that's again 2 successes. Haru runs the tricorder over them, scanning them, and she says, I'm only picking up a slight concussion. They should be okay to move. I think this is just a superficial wound on the head. Let's keep them moving. Get them away from this gas. Now, the third patient is actually the closest to the rear, so you actually have sort of almost been moving people past them. Again, there's no visible outside injuries on them, but they are sort of still unconscious in the seat. And Haru says, I don't know what's wrong with them. We just sort of let's get them away. We need to. I got a 19 and 17 there, so I didn't get any successes, but I didn't get a catastrophic failure. I just didn't succeed. He says we should. I'm going to need to examine them properly. We need to get them out of this shuttlecraft.
As Haru has finished that third diagnosis, Johnny's finished dropping off the first person about 10 to 15 feet away from the vessel, and has come back in to assist with the movement of the remaining passengers. He's heard that and says, "Are you sure they're okay?"
I can't be sure of anything. The tricorder's having a bit of trouble. I'm pretty sure they don't have any spinal injuries, though. That's more of a basic check. We ought to, at the very least, get them out and get them away from this toxic gas. I'll be able to do a more thorough investigation once we're clear.
Sounds like a good idea. I'll get them. You get the other one. You two.
Okay.
So between the three of you pull the remaining patients away from the shuttlecraft, a safe distance, I think, as well, so you can be sure that there's not any. They're not getting any additional exposure to whatever's venting.
Have we felt any effects from being in the shuttle?
I will say after a minute or so, going back and forth, you all start to feel a little bit lightheaded.
Okay.
It's probably a sign to not go back in there.
Yeah. Well, it looks like everybody's safe. Haru, do you want to try and check out this person's wounds? You said that it was a little bit beyond you to do it in the ship. I guess we can tend to the others if their injuries aren't so bad.
Yeah, I'm a little worried about the internal bleeding on the pilot, though. Who to go to first?
Well, I have some measure of training in medicine. I can provide some assistance if you kind of point me in the right direction. I don't want to step away from a challenge, but if there's any simple injuries that I can assist with, then just tell me what to do.
Okay, if you can take a look at the second one, very least try and clean up some of the blood, and that, as I say, I think it's just a superficial wound, but yes, if you could tend to him.
Absolutely. And Johnny pulls out one of the survival pack things that he's brought with and gets the first aid kit out of it, or the equivalent of.
Yeah, there's like a little medical pack thing that's sort of part of the survival kit, like a sort of minimal version of what Dr. Arila brings around on calls and things. It's got little medical sort of hyper spray and things, but it's kind of, here's the bare necessities kind of thing. Survival kit's meant to have a little bit of everything in it, and it's helpful to have some first aid stuff. I think, okay, if you're trying to do that, I don't think it's the trickiest of things, but I just need I think this is just a reason medicine from you, just difficulty 1, if you're just, cleaning a thing. Okay, 12 and a 9, okay, that's 2 successes. So we're already at the limit on momentum, so I'm not even counting anymore at this point.
Yeah, rolling
until we start spending it. While you've been doing this, Haru has again run her tricorder over the third patient. I'm still not detecting any obvious wounds. Can you keep an eye on them? I really need to get to grips with this internal bleeding. I think that seems the most urgent. Okay, I'm gonna make a check to myself as Haru attempts to stabilize the first patient, the internal bleeding one. This is going to be a little trickier. This is going to be a reason medicine difficulty 3. If it's okay with you guys, I'd like to spend a point of momentum to buy another dice for that.
Oh, 100%, that's fine.
Okay. Right, so I'm looking for 15 and under. Ooh, okay, that's close. That's 2 successes. Not quite what I was looking for. The whole way through, I've obviously... we've been doing this a bit where I've been playing... I'm not entirely sure whether it's meant to be a bit more kind of black and white, like you either get the successes or you don't. But I've kind of been playing it that if we get a certain number of them, it's better than not doing it or getting a complete failure. But there's not going to be a completely succeeding at the task. So we could interpret this as, if you guys don't want me to buy another momentum, which I think, that's another 3 gone. So I don't know. I would probably lean against that. I don't want to be running through all your momentum.
I mean, I wouldn't be against that since you can use untapped potential and get at least 1 back. The thing that Leela can do is they can try to analyse the gas and see, hopefully get a better idea of what causing the issue, which should make it easier to treat.
Okay, well, here's what I'll say. The internal bleeding, and this I don't think is related to this current check. This is more from the initial assessment. The internal bleeding is from the crash, not from the gas.
Yeah.
So your you could. This is 100% a good idea in analysing the gas. It just maybe wouldn't affect Haru's current check. I would probably say with 2 out of 3 successes, that's just what happened with that check there.
Okay.
She's able to stabilise the person, but they're not in a good shape. That might be a way of doing it, I think. This isn't a complete success. This is a person who is still very injured, but they're not immediately about to sort of bleed to death. That would be maybe a way to go on that, I think, narratively. Plus, I don't burn through all your momentum.
That sounds good.
Yeah. So, analysing the gas, can I get a reason science check from you? Difficulty 2. Oh, that's a catastrophic failure. So you got 1 success, but catastrophic failure, so that I think we'll call that a wipe there. No, beyond the tricorder going, warning, do not breathe, you're not getting much of a... you don't recognise it. Basically, you don't recognise the chemical formula. It's able to get a reading on it, but you don't recognise it at all, and so you can't really give it much of a sort of warning, of like, oh, we definitely don't want to do this because it causes this or something, So yeah. You're getting the toxic warning from the tricorder, but that's about the limit, really.
This gas it's not something I recognise at all. Sorry. Apart from obviously being toxic, can't help.
At this point, Johnny, the second one, the one you've been cleaning the head wound of, his eyes flutter open and he sort of stares around before making eye contact with you directly. Where am I? What happened?
You've been in a crash. Stay calm, don't try and move. You've got a head injury, so just try and relax. But you're safe. We've got your crewmates off of the ship.
A crash? A shuttle crash?
Yeah, well, we've narrowly avoided one ourselves. We were coming down to check on the outpost here. What are you doing on the planet?
I don't know. I don't know where I am. Hold on. Sort of... he seems disorientated more than anything else. You know.
Johnny tries to kind of like, if he's trying to get up to his feet, Johnny's going to kind of put hands on shoulders and be like, no, seriously, you need to just stay calm, stay on the ground, don't try and get up to your feet. You might have a dizzy spell or something. I really wouldn't want to see you collapse again. And Johnny looks over towards the ship. Is there any indication of similar damage to what we've experienced with our ship?
No.
Is there any clear indication of why it's crashed, or is it that it's an impact damage kind of thing that's visible?
It's an impact damage. You know what? Can I get an insight engineering check from you?
Okay.
This is a tough check from you.
Oh, wow. Yeah, this is really not Johnny's skill.
But you're the one asking the question, so I need...
Yep.
Yeah. 11 and 4, so that's one success. You were aiming for 8 or under. I think with one success, I didn't say the difficulty level. This was going to be kind of a tricky check. I will say you can't tell what brought it down. The only real thing is that, like, if this had been a really high speed crash, they probably wouldn't have survived. So it's likely they didn't come down from a high. You know, this was a low speed, low altitude crash.
Okay. Turning back to them then, Johnny says, can you remember anything about what happened just before your crash? Where were you on the way to? What was happening?
We were running. They were after us, and
who was after you?
The things.
Things? And Johnny looks towards Leela and Haru with a look of concern.
Haru is sort of working on the patient quite intently and isn't really paying attention.
Leela gestures to Johnny to stay quiet and let the man talk.
And gives a little nod and says, go on.
We were in the outpost, and they broke in through the window. We just ran to the shuttle. We ran to the shuttle, and oh god! You see him sort of look left and right. Where's Troy? Did he make it on the shuttle?
Well, there's only the 3 of you that we found. Was there a 4th? Are you saying that there's somebody missing?
Yeah, Lieutenant Troy was in charge. I thought he made it on the shuttle. It's all fuzzy.
Can you tell us anything about what it was that attacked?
It was big and hairy, and there was lots of them. I don't know. We didn't even see them coming, and then they were there.
Johnny's hand is instinctively going towards his phaser right now, and he's definitely pulled one up and says, they were chasing you? Were they chasing the shuttle?
I don't know. The last thing I remember is getting on the shuttle.
It's okay. You've got us back up now. And Leela is going to pull out her tricorder and see if she can get readings for other forms of life.
Sure. Okay, can I get a reason science check from you? Difficulty 2. I think that's 2 successes for you.
2 successes.
Yeah, okay. There's I mean, you know, as I say, you're kind of on some planes and that. You're picking up other life signs. It's tough to narrow them down. This isn't a planet that you've been on before. In fact, it might not even be a real planet if you remember that you're in the holodeck. But the one thing that the tricorder is not picking up is it's picking up 2 other life forms that it recognizes. That is one Denobulum and one Cation, about 1.5 miles away. Other than them, there are a lot of other life forms that it can't really narrow down what they are.
Well, it sounds like we're going to need to be on our guard. I've got to hope that they've been able to get the ship up and running, and we're going to need to get these people out of here.
Speaking of, let's let's cut back to Pherea and Kataran then.
Cue the engineering montage
Yeah.
that is probably happening.
So yeah, okay. We'll start things off because we're doing a lot of checks. Can I get a because you're working on it? I think this would be control engineering. Reason engineering in my head is more like knowing what the problem. You're trying to figure things out and know what the problem is. You know what the problem is. You've had your look. Control engineering is you actually getting down to it and working on it.
Yep. She's got her spanners out.
Yeah.
Got her.
We'll just do a couple of checks. We'll do one now and I'll do another one later on just to kind of see how you're progressing, kind of thing. So again, just a difficulty 2 control engineering, which again you're looking for 15 and under on this. So okay, 16 and a 9. So you got your 1 success there. Again, as I said, I mean, there's plenty of momentum if you wanted to use one of those for an extra check, or we can just say that maybe it's a bit slow going to begin with.
Yeah, she's maybe like, this is not an ideal.
No, you're not in a repair bay. You're not on board the ship. Yeah.
I don't have all my tools. I've only got like a basic kit with me.
Yeah. You're making
I've not
do.
got all my. Yeah.
Yeah. Fair enough.
She's just like she's like taking a cushion out and is like sitting on the cushion and like working around in the cell and taking bits out and.
You're making progress.
them.
It's just it's not quick progress.
Yep.
I'd say. Okay. Kataran, what are you doing while all this is while the maintenance work is happening? Bearing in mind it's probably been, by this point, let's just say it's been probably 40 minutes since the other group left.
But I imagine Kataran is at the composition on the runabout, and he's checking various instruments to see if there's any improvement to the engines with the work that's going on outside.
It's a bit tricky because they're kind of all powered down at this point because Pherea is sort of elbow deep in them really. Until it's all kind of plugged back together again, there's not much that the displays are going to be able to tell you.
All right, scrap that then.
Yeah, sorry, not to kind of I just
no, it makes sense. That's fine.
Yeah.
I don't want to be electrocuted or blown up accidentally.
That's a fair point.
The whole runabout isn't powered down. You do have internal power and things. So just the engines are not up.
Yeah, I imagine you've still got sensors and things like that.
Yeah.
It's just that the actual engines themselves are offline while she works.
Okay. I imagine Kataran is holding a torch and shining it into the crevices where she's working, providing light.
Fair enough.
Is she She's probably directing you then. It's like left a bit, right a bit, down 2 degrees. Stop getting distracted. I need you to point it here. She's like pointing it in the direction.
Is that right? Have I got it? There.
Steady. This is very delicate work.
How about now?
Good. Keep it there. Just gotta change this control chip.
Are you kind of keeping an eye out around you during this time, or are you sort of?
I think Pherea would be kind of hyper aware that they're alone and they're on a unknown. They're on a pretend unknown planet. But to her, it's like she's involved now. She's been doing engineering things, so she's like, "Oh, I'm actually doing something." She's kind of forgotten that it's a competition.
Yeah.
So she's just kind of going with the motions. She says she'd be hyper aware and like glancing about every now and again, but she'd maybe probably count on Kataran to be the one keeping an eye on things.
Okay. With that in mind, then, Kataran, can I get a? What would this be? This would be insight security, I think. So you're looking for 10 or under. This is just kind of you generally keeping an eye out. I just think just difficulty 1, just to kind of get a general gauge of like how aware you're being.
Okie dokie. So are my whiskers twitching? Possibly.
19 and a 15. You don't see anything.
Oh.
Seems quiet.
Yeah. We're fucked.
I'm not implying anything with that. I'm just saying to you, it seems quiet.
Yeah. Okay.
Out of character, I feel like we're about to be kidnapped.
Yeah. or shot at. You know.
Can I get another engineering check from you, Pherea?
Yeah. As I wrestle with the nacelle.
Yes. So 17 and a 3. Yeah, so again, another 1 success on that one, unless you want to spend a momentum, but it's up to you. No. Okay. So yeah, it's slow going, but you're making progress.
She's wrestling with like really awkward screws that just won't turn with even with the sonic screwdriver. It's fighting her.
You managed to replace the control chip that you were doing just now, and that you're trying to sort of work the kind of housing back onto the impulse manifold. I'm just pulling techno babble things out of nowhere here. You're trying to work the kind of the housing, the casing back on in a way that it's not going to immediately snap off and kill you all. And you're getting it there. It's just a little bit. It's not quite there. Yeah, that's all. Mm-hmm. All right.
It's one of those things that you have to wiggle slowly into place.
Yeah.
Back on yeah.
And if it's misaligned, it would be bad.
Yeah, it's like reassembling your Hoover after you've dismantled it all.
Yeah, it never goes back right, does it?
No.
Let's pop back to the other group then. So, this first person is still a little bit in distress, and they still seem a little bit confused. But this is to be expected with the concussion. The third person, the one that Haru was unable to diagnose, a few minutes later also kind of groggily opens their eyes. What? I'm alive? What happened?
Well, we were just trying to figure that out. Your companion here came to a few moments ago, but they don't seem to know what was going on. They said you were being chased. Do you know what was chasing you?
Some kind of creature. They swarmed in over the outpost. I got on the shuttle with Jorge and Martin, and they got Troy. He didn't make it on the shuttle. We tried to get away, but they were throwing weapons, boulders, anything. We took a hit. We didn't get very far.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear about that. And Johnny looks to the guy he's been tending. How's he reacting to the news that Troy hasn't made it?
He's not. Yeah, you get the feeling he's not really processing.
Okay, that concussion's pretty strong.
The guy sort of coughs again. When we went down, something in the engine blew. I got a face full of it. That's the last I remember.
You think you can make it to your feet? I mean, I don't want to test you here, but we've kind of crash-landed ourselves. Our ship is being tended to by some of our crewmates. We're going to try and get you off of this planet. We were sent here to check out the outpost up ahead, but it sounds like that might be a lost cause at this point.
First priority needs to be get them back to the ship, or at least get us off the planet if it's this unsafe.
Absolutely.
Haru has been working on the other crew member this time. She says, "Okay, I think this one he's stable now. If we have to move him, we can, but it's not gonna help things."
Well, there's no way we're carrying him back to our shuttle.
No, we've got to hope that they've managed to get that thing up and running again. I guess we should probably check in.
Aye.
Johnny hits his comm badge. Says, Conought to Pherea.
Pherea here.
How's the work on the ship going? We've managed to locate the source of the smoke. It's another crashed Starfleet vessel. It sounds like they were escaping from the outpost where some kind of creatures have overrun it. Some kind of, ravening beasts. They're throwing rocks and potentially down to this shuttle. We've got 3 injured crewmates, and we need to get out of here.
Oh, locals are causing mischief? We're not quite there yet, but I'll hurry along. I'll give you an ETA when we know when we're up and running.
Okay, do what you can. We've managed to stabilize the people that we have here, but I've got a horrible feeling that the people that, well, I say the people, the creatures, whatever they are, they're not far behind.
Question: Can we use the transporters for the runabout and beam the injured to the ship?
I don't see why not.
Good idea.
I'm going to suggest that to Katarin. Katarin, do that. You should go and see if we're able to use the transporters. Maybe we can just beam everybody back here.
Worth a shot.
Pherea de Conought.
Conought?
We're gonna check the transporters, see how they are working, and we'll see if we can try and beam the injured back and you all back to the runabout.
Prioritise Haru and the patient she's with.
Will do.
The rest of us can walk if we absolutely have to.
I will say it doesn't look like the transporters are damaged at all. They still have power.
Good to know.
So to operate them, though, I'm going to need a check from you.
Okie dokie.
This will be a control engineering check. So this actually is just difficulty 1.
I've got 8 and a 4.
8 and a 4. Okay, 2 successes. So yeah, quickly, and both groups see. One group sees Haru and the unconscious internal bleeding person dematerialize, and Katarin, you see them rematerialize in front of you. Now the runabouts only have a small pad, so you can pretty much, that's about the limit of you can do at a time, 2 people at a time.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, you have successfully brought them the 1.5 miles. So Haru rematerializes. Pherea, just at this moment, you just about get the housing back in place, and then landing a foot to your left in the ground is a very crude, very nasty looking spear carved from wood.
Just gonna yell for Qatar. Qatar, we're about to have company! Gonna get up, gather her stuff. I've secured it, yeah. It's all secured.
Yeah, it's just about.
And she's gonna get into the
You
runabout.
wouldn't want to go to walk, but you could probably take off.
Yeah. Just like getting in, closing the hatch.
Yeah. Okay, so as you close the hatch, you turn and you can see that making their way down the hill towards the runabout, rather menacingly looking, are a large group of humanoid creatures. They look to be about 7 feet tall, broad-shouldered. They're covered head to toe in a mixture of sort of mottled white and brown fur. Each has got a set of quite nasty-looking tusks protruding from their lower jaw. They are wearing clothes. They're wearing what looks to be kind of animal skins of some sort, and they're wielding clubs and spears, and they look like sort of primitive humanoids, and they don't look happy.
Freya's like rushing around, reignitioning everything to like line up, while like yelling at Katarin, "We've got the locals on our tail. I think it's best if we just go and pick the away team up."
No argument from me.
Okay. Who's at the con? Katarin, are you still working the transporter, or are you running to the...
I would have, at the shout from Pherea, I would have dashed back to the con.
Okay.
Yes, ready to go.
Yeah. Can I get a control con check from you then? Difficulty 1. Okay. That's a catastrophic failure.
Uh-oh.
Am I able to spend a momentum?
You can spend momentum actually to but I think this was something we talked about before, was negating a complication. Okay, I'll tell you what it is. It's an alternative use of the spend 2 momentum. Usually you can do it to create an advantage. An alternate thing of that is to remove a complication. So that falls under the same thing. So yeah, it's 2 momentum if you want to remove that complication. Otherwise, you are not taking off.
How much have we got to spend?
We have 5.
Do it. Go for it.
Yeah, let's remove a complication.
Okay, so with more wooden spears clattering off the hull, the thrusters for a few seconds are just sort of screaming with pressure, trying to take the, normally this would be a smooth takeoff. Things are clearly still not 100% with this runabout, but your fingers are sort of dancing over the controls, trying different things and that, and finally, with a sort of juddering sort of movement, the runabout takes off, and you hear another couple of thumps as you leave the ground.
I'm imagining a few sparks as well, and Pherea just like, stop breaking my ship!
Yeah, there's a bit of smoke in here, but it is moving.
I'm not doing it on purpose.
Just fixed it.
You hear a brief thump on the hull. Pherea, are you near a viewport?
I know. I had been like firing up the engines and
all right,
backfire and stuff. So I'm imagining I've like grabbed onto a chair while this roller coaster of a takeoff is happening.
I was gonna say there's sort of sounds of something climbing on top at the last second. Obviously something had jumped on, and then there's some scrabbling noises, and then that disappears.
Oh God. I
So
hope they're okay.
something had jumped on, and you took off and started flying away, and it has fallen off of the runabout. But you are clear. It won't take you long to get to the others. They're, like I said, 1.5 miles away, and by the time you're up in the air, I mean, that's nothing when you're flying.
Yeah.
Are you landing, or are you going to transport them up?
I would say transport them up. We risk drawing attention.
Yeah, let's just speed them on board.
Yeah? Okay. All right. I guess with guitar and flying then, can I get a... what was it? Was it control engineering?
I have transporters in my thing as well. So.
Oh, well, if transporters is your thing, this is a difficulty 1 check. We can probably drop this to difficulty 0 and just say you can do it.
Yeah, let's not roll. She's like shakily on the console because she's like, I feel sick again. Oh God.
Yeah. Haru is in the back with this injured person as well. She just says, are we okay? Are we clear?
Yeah, we're good.
The floor might not be if she throws up again, but...
Shut up. Guitar.
And you guys are still being transmitted to the fleet.
Yeah.
Just want to remind you. Okay, so let's as it's basically a free action for you then, with the 0 difficulty on that. With a couple of quick cycles of the transporter, you are able to bring aboard Lila and the other 2 hollow injured and that, and I guess make for space. Is that the thinking? I don't want to lead you down a path or anything, but
I think that's the only safe option.
Yes.
I think we should maybe like swing by the
outpost.
The outpost
to collect the lieutenant.
Yeah, because I'm imagining we could maybe see if we can at least extract the body.
There might not even be a body anymore.
There might not be, but we can at least scan and.
Given how damaged the shuttle is, I don't think that's.
Fair enough.
I don't think it's worth the risk of all of us and the wounded not making it off the planet at all.
You could do a flyby and look out the window, maybe get a scan.
I mean, I'm happy to scan it. I just don't necessarily think that it is a justifiable risk to the 7 lives aboard.
That's fair.
8 lives aboard.
Yeah.
Maybe we should cut our losses and get out of here.
There's no reason that we cannot come back, and we have a responsibility to try and get the severely wounded patient to somewhere with better facilities for the doctor to treat them.
Yeah, sounds like a plan to me.
Very good. What she said.
All right. So,
I'm perfectly happy to be running scans as we go. I want more information on whatever the hell those things are.
Johnny's going to look out of the viewport to try and get a look at, like, any of these things jumping about on the ground, waving arms, throwing rocks up at us, that kind of stuff. Like, he just wants to see what we're escaping from.
You do see some movement, yeah. I mean, I would imagine that, you haven't stopped and hovered, so you are still moving. But you can see not hundreds of these things, but there's definitely some groups moving around down there, and that were maybe they've been startled by the. If not, no, startled's the wrong word. They were a bit more stealthy before, and now there's another flying thing. They're kind of their blood is up again, and they're on the move, I should say. You can see the outpost much more clearly now because you're only a mile away from it or so with the crash site. And the second crash site, not your own crash site. Yeah, your site was a landing site, not a crash site. So, yeah. And it does look, you can see there's quite a lot of movement around it. I wouldn't recommend going down there. In fact, you can actually see the antenna array looks to be in the process of being smashed to pieces by whatever these life forms are.
that'll explain why we couldn't contact anybody.
Oh, yeah.
So this is maybe something for Starfleet to reevaluate, or at least do a slightly different study of this planet, rather than just building an outpost on it and going, "You'll be fine."
Yeah, yeah. More data will be needed.
Yes, but still, you have three survivors. They're all alive. Not everybody's, they've lost someone, but you've dealt with your own engine troubles and things like that. So as Katarin, I guess, brings the runabout back up through the atmosphere, the environment around you starts to fade away, and suddenly the five of you are stood in the usual grid pattern lines of a holodeck with the words visible above you: "Session complete."
Johnny has a smile creep across his face and looks to the rest of them and says, "I think that went pretty well."
Mission accomplished.
Yeah.
Who fancies a drink?
I know exactly the place. Have you guys heard of Shimoda's?
Alright, that's going to do it for this episode. We'll be back in 2 weeks' time on Thursday, September the 15th, and we hope you'll all join us for that. In the meantime, you can find links to all of our online presences, including our social media pages, Discord server, merch store, and more at pretendingwithdice.com. So yeah, for now, that's our show. We hope you all enjoyed it. We'll see you next time.